All right, welcome to the Bang Bus Football Podcast. My name's Jim. This is my co-host Eggs. We got a fun one for you today. It is officially draft season, baby. Draft season. Yeah. Favorite time of the year. We have Bongo Bob on of the Ultimate Sleeper McNair. He's going to give, it's kind of a ritual tradition. He gives the first round mock of our league. It's a 2-keeper league. He always gives the first round mock. So we're going to run that through with him today. We'll ask him some other questions, maybe his sleepers, breakouts, who he kind of has an eye on, and of course who he thinks will finish last in the league, maybe a rival. So we're really excited. We think it's going to be a good one. Please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it, and have fun where every inch matters. Next guest on the podcast here is Bongo Bob himself, the only undefeated team, the 2018 champion. His overall career record is 51-38, best for third place. Mr. Bongo Bob. How we doing, Bongo?
Pretty good. How about yourself? Thanks for having me.
Doing good. Pleasure to have you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, not so much, but yeah.
Oh, don't. I said it was going to be nice. I said, I hope you weren't coming out here shooting at me. I'm not in the mood for that today.
You're not?
No.
Shots fired already.
Past my bedtime. I had to stay up for you.
That's what I'm saying. It's late.
I know.
Well, we might as well start it off right. Yeah, I know you're gonna bring this up at some point. What are your thoughts on Flavortown? What are they gonna do this year in the league? You know, it's the first year with the official Flavortown as their own little group of four. What do you think they're gonna do this year?
I mean, I think they're gonna dominate. If you think about it, you got Holden, dog, Bongo, dog, Artie, dog, and then Terry, dog. Just a bunch of dogs. We're gonna run that thing.
Yeah,
we're gonna run it.
Okay, we'll see. You know, Holden does have a championship. You have a championship, so 2 out of the 4.
So the league used to be Lombardi League. And then I guess 3 years, I guess I was the first champion whenever it changed to Bang Bus, right? So
I think this is the 3rd year, yeah.
No, this is going to be the 4th year. So 2018, that was the change. Obviously 12-0. Followed up with Holden, another Flavortown member, and then 2020 champion Terry Flavor. So since the Bang Bus, we haven't lost yet, so.
Yeah, that's true. You haven't lost yet. Speaking of that, since we are going to get to the mock draft, first round mock, Bongo loves to give his first round mock of who he thinks is going to go in the first round. It's always fun. He's usually pretty close. But before we get to that, who are some sleeper picks you have for the year? Not even in the first round, but overall throughout the draft. Who do you have an eye on?
Just overall sleepers?
Yeah.
I'll try to stay away from like the Brian Edwards, right. Like those type of guys that you hear about a lot. Do what?
T.O., right?
Yeah, exactly. My first one is Traquan Smith.
Okay.
So I think Jameis Winston will do a lot for him. He's gonna throw it all over the place still. And I think they gave a big bump to that Troutman, the tight end, but I don't feel like people are giving Traquan Smith the love, if that makes sense. He's a burner. He was a part of that 2017 UCF championship team, along with another sleeper that I got, Gabriel Davis. He was also part of that 2017 UCF championship.
Oh, 2 of them.
Yeah, so I think both of those guys can ball, honestly.
Is he on the Saints now, Gabriel Davis? Or is he?
No. He's on the Bills.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I knew he was on the Bears previously. I didn't know he was on the Bills now, though. Back to the Traquan. I actually like that as a sleeper a lot because people have been hyping up Callaway. They've seen the preseason, and Marquez Callaway is like the number 1 guy. And of course, Michael Thomas is out for at least the first 6 weeks. I believe he's on the IR. Traquan Smith, there has to be targets going around. With the Saints offense in general, it's not Drew Brees anymore. Not a bum-ass shoulder. Not 40-year-old Drew Brees. It's Jameis. He's going to at least be slinging the ball.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, Jameis he's not scared to throw. He'll throw downfield. Sean Payton's, I mean, I think he'll let him loose for the most part. He probably won't have as many picks as he did in Tampa, but I mean, he'll be good to go, I think.
The LASIK.
And Tre'Quan Smith, he's just going to get behind defenders, and I think he could be good.
For sure. Back to Gabriel Davis. So you think he's going to have a better year than Cole Beasley? Because he had a pretty good year in the slot last year.
Yeah, Cole Beasley's tough. I feel like he's always pretty banged up too. So I think he'll see.
I see that.
I think the biggest thing with Gabriel Davis is I saw a stat that it was like 71% of the time the Bills are in 11 personnel. So 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers. I mean, they're going to be, and then it was like 15% in 10 personnel. So, I mean, their wide receivers are going to be moving all over the place.
Right.
I think he's definitely going to see time. I mean, we're talking about sleepers, so I don't.
For sure.
Going to be like your first flex, but I think he could be a guy that surprises people. He's a big dude too.
I like that a lot. I don't even think Gabriel Davis is in on anybody's radar really when it comes to draft. And I like that as a sleeper pick for sure.
I mean, he's a red zone guy, and Josh Allen. I mean, he's got an arm. Like
they're gonna slang the ball in Buffalo too. They're gonna give him the attempts. Somebody's got to catch the ball there. They're gonna spread it around. I like that.
Definitely, Josh Allen another year. I mean, he could have won MVP last year. 43 total touchdowns. 38 rushing, 38 passing, 6-7 rushing. Like he had a crazy year. So he's only going to get better with him and Diggs. So it's going to be a great year for them. Moving back to the league, who do you see as your biggest rival in the league? Obviously, everybody knows you were part of the Big Three. Then you moved on to Flavortown. Maybe it's not even one of us in the Big Three as a rival, but who do you see throughout the league as your rival?
I think you're either for Flavortown or you're against Flavortown. So I think pretty much everyone. But who would you guys say is most against Flavortown? Other than everyone on the outside, who would you guys say? Because I have 2 guys that I will answer your question with as my biggest rivals, and those 2 hate Flavortown more than anyone.
I don't think you guys are important enough to hate. So I don't think you're on anybody's radar that much.
Back to back championships.
Well, not as Flavortown.
Self-proclaimed.
Not as Flavortown. So I can't even tell you who hates Flavortown the most because I don't know. I don't think anybody goes to sleep thinking about them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm after Wild Bill and I'm after Deputy Bates, so.
I feel like Bates on a lot of guys' radar this year. I mean, obviously he is the legit champ. So it's.
Yeah, well, I mean, those guys can get it. I mean, Nick, he's just not even good. It shouldn't even be worth my time, but.
Yes.
Eggs, that's one thing that you guys will actually agree on is that Rich over there, the Portnoy Pounders, that you guys can't agree on him as the real champ. But yeah, that's good stuff. Back to, obviously we're going to hear a lot about Bill in the first round mock here because he has 3 first round picks. Why do you think it's Bill? Is he hating on you guys? You heard any rumblings about it from him or what?
As far as against Flavortown?
Yeah.
Oh, this goes back to last year when it was Terry Flavor, just the lone wolf. He didn't like that. He didn't like Terry, how he was. He didn't like any of that. He didn't stand for it. I don't know. He's, the
all hype MVP himself. He didn't like it.
He wasn't a fan. I mean, he just kept whining about it. I got to hear it. And I'm like, all right, it's on.
Okay. I like it. Do you have any questions for him, Eggs? Anything?
Yeah. So talk about sleepers. Who is your sleeper team in the league? Who do you think is going to have a better year than has had in the past, or somebody that might rise up and just be better than people give him credit for, I guess? Sleeper team.
I would probably have to say Lang. Did he make the playoffs last year?
No. Remember, he sold early.
Shit. Well, okay, so he does have picks though.
Yep. He's got a couple first rounders.
I think Lang. I think Jet I mean, he's not going to be a sleeper for the league, but I think he's one that could definitely, be in that championship.
Yeah. What do you think about his trade? Because you used to have Hopkins on your team. He originally, about 2 weeks ago, had Dalvin Cook and Chubb, and then he moved up into the first and acquired Hopkins and gave up Chubb. Did you like that trade for him or no?
He moved up.
No, yes, he moved up into the first, and Lane got my second rounder, and then they flipped Hopkins for Chubb. So yeah, he moved up into the first.
At first I liked it, but then the more I thought about it, I don't know. It's tough giving up a running back kind of like Chubb just to get a receiver, and you think about how receiver heavy it is. That I think he could have gotten someone, in total points for the year will be pretty close versus say a running back that he goes at what picks he have
3 and 11 now.
Yeah, you're
something
looking
like
at
12.
The Josh Jacobs or those type of guys, but I just think there's a pretty big difference. I'm not a huge Chubb guy. I think he's kind of like Chris Carson, to where like he's just a bulldozer and he gets hurt. Like Chubb he's been pretty healthy. I mean, honestly, outside of college, but just those backs, I mean, they're just bruisers. Lower your shoulder, and Carson hasn't even played a full season, ever. I don't think. And I worry about that with Chubb, and he doesn't catch passes, so.
That was going to be my point. I think Kareem, they look as the pure receiving back out of that backfield.
Yeah.
I see it as a running back committee. I know Chubb, does put up yards and they tend to run the ball a lot, but I think they really like Kareem when it comes to having him on the field.
It's not a bad running back committee, though.
Absolutely.
They're both going to be super fantasy relevant.
Great O-line.
And to be honest, I'm with you. I think if I had to say, they probably like Kareem more. I mean, he's that good.
He is good. He is really good. And who knows, he might actually be in your first round mock here, which is a good transition. I think we'll just get straight into it because it might take a little bit. For all the viewers, it will be at the bottom here. You'll see the keeper mock draft. We'll pop it up and we'll run it through as Bubba makes his picks. The first 2 rounds will be our first 2 keepers throughout the league. They might not line up completely, but it does go in order from how we are picking because draft picks obviously get traded throughout the season. So with that, the time is yours, Bubba. I figured that we'll make the pick, maybe say a few words about it, where your mind's at with it, and then move on to the next one. So who's on the clock at number 1? I think is Grimmer.
Or do you have the keepers in front of you just so you?
I do. If you
tell the viewers who the keepers are.
So the keepers, Team Grimm is first on the board here, and his keepers are Travis Kelce and CeeDee Lamb, and he has the number 1 first overall pick.
Yeah, and I think this one's just a lock. Najee Harris. He's not coming in with a running back at all, and I mean, you just can't pass that guy up. Now it is Grimmer, so like Grimmer could pass that guy up. Maybe the rookie back from Denver now that people are hyping up, he might really go him number 1.
I can see it.
I mean, he did draft Royce Freeman a few years back in the first round as a rookie. So, but yeah, I think it's a lock. Najee Harris, number 1.
Yep.
Off the board.
I agree. I think Najee's a stud. Me and Eggs, we talked about him last week. In our top 10 rankings, I think he's a lock. Just volume wise, being in a great offense like that, he's gonna produce.
I mean, even with a bad offensive line or not great, however you want to put it, like I mean, he's gonna catch balls. He's probably gonna be in the slot some. I mean, he's gonna play like a Le'Veon role, whether he's that style really or not. Like that's their guy. They usually stick with one guy. They're never really a committee. So I think he's just going to ball out.
Yep,
I agree. Compare that with Kelce. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah, so. Expanding to 14 teams, I think having a stronghold on the tight ends is in favor of those teams that have them. The top tier, the ones that put up 250 plus 300 points a year. I think it's going to really make a difference if they can draft right. Yeah. We are talking about Grimmer, like we said, so.
That's definitely in flavor.
Number 2, we have Timbo. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. His keepers are Justin Jefferson and Antonio Gibson. Who do you have for number 2?
This one's kind of tough. I think Tim's kind of a wild card here because, he had Josh Jacobs on his team. He drafted him as a rookie. I could see him going there because he really didn't have that bad of a year. But I have him going Calvin Ridley. I think that's a guy you just can't pass up.
Yep.
I think he'll finish top 3 receiver. That's above DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's that good. You got Tyreek and Adams and then Ridley, I think. So
right. I know you have some opinions on Calvin, Eggs.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think Calvin's going to finish better than DeAndre Hopkins. I think it's a good pick at 2 in the draft, though. I mean, just from volume and projection wise, people think he's going to go nuts. He had a bunch of targets. The Falcons are going to throw the ball probably the most in the league with Matt Ryan. I think that's a good pick at 2.
Yeah.
What do you have against them or nothing? You just don't have them that high in your range?
Nothing. I don't have him that high on receivers. There's just better names I think there that I would rather have. But I mean, volume wise in that offense, I mean, Calvin Ridley, it's a good pick there too.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Bubba here. I think looking at the board, Calvin, just volume wise, targets, I think he's got to be the first receiver off the board, and especially Julio gone now, he's the clear number 1 in a passing offense.
A lot of people hate that for him. They think Julio was the reason he succeeded, and I mean,
he didn't. Yeah.
I mean, it's his route running. It's everything. I mean, honestly, I could see a decline in Matt Ryan hurting him before, just Julio leaving.
For sure.
Julio didn't hurt him or help him really. I mean,
he was out like 9 games last year, Julio. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I don't see it as a difference. He's going to get fed.
I don't think the Falcons are going to be that good. They're going to be behind in games. They're going to be throwing the ball. He's going to get a good amount of volume.
Yep.
It's just one of those things where he's going to have a decline because of that. But
pretty bad defense over there, I think, too. So
agreed. No, I like that as a second pick. Number 3, we have the Jeffco Cookers. We have Jet on the clock. He has Dalvin Cook, who was an absolute stud last year. I believe the number 1 running back in PPR. And then we have DeAndre Hopkins, who we just spoke about his trade. He traded away Chubb for Hopkins. Who do you think he goes there at 3?
Yeah, so on that one, you came in with 2 awesome running backs. You traded for DeAndre Hopkins, but I think he goes Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
I think PPR, I think it's a safe bet. I mean, the dude is a stud. And then I believe he has another first rounder, right? Yeah, at the end.
Yep, he traded up. He's got 11.
So if he kind of sees
12,
the running backs that are there kind of in the same tier, just wait, it could fall that way, But yeah, I'm going Allen Robinson here. Safest pick in this draft, probably.
I agree. He's finished top 12 like the past 3-4 years or every season that he's been there, and he's had Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky and now I know Andy Dalton and not everybody loves him, but at some point they're going to get the Fields kid on the field. They're going to start him at some point. They should, at least in my eyes, and I think that only just raises his stock. So I agree with that pick at 3 for sure. Number 4 is the commish himself. I am keeping, who am I keeping? Oh, Tyreek Hill and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I traded up into the 4th. I had the 11th pick. I traded away Derrick Henry and did a first round swap. And so I'm there at 4. Who do you think I'm going with?
I think you're going with Terry McLaurin, Terry McTouchdowns. I mean, this guy's going to be a breakout. I mean, he has star potential. I think he'll break out this year. I mean, and with Fitzpatrick,
it's his best quarterback.
As many teams, for sure.
I
mean, he's been on so many teams, but the dude he's like Jameis, but smarter. I mean, he just throws the ball everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think Terry McLaurin's going to be an absolute monster. I do think Curtis Samuel will have a role there too. I think he's a stud. But yeah, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, you must have been watching our top 10 rankings from last week. Definitely on my top 10 board. I am a big fan of Terry.
I was Irv Smith.
And then he tore his meniscus fucking 2 days later after I put him up there.
Trevor probably watched that, and he probably will take.
Still.
Yeah.
But I do love Terry. I think he reminds me of like a young OBJ. Never had him and Eli probably had some sort of rapport, but it was Eli's, older days, in my opinion, towards the end of his career. And I think him and OBJ have a lot to compare to. And if he can get a steady QB like Fitzpatrick, that he's going to feed him number one targets, I think he's going to have a great year. So I'm not going to give away all the secrets here, but that's a pretty good guess there at 4. And if I don't take him, he's going to go early first, in my opinion. Point. What do you? I know, Eggs, you're not huge on Terry.
I'm not big on Terry, but I think me and you have talked too much, and I know too much to talk much more about it. Just to be fair to you, I think the Redskins are overrated. I think their defense is really good. Their front seven is massive and they're fast. I just not big on Fitzpatrick and Antonio Gibson and all of that they have going on. Logan Thomas, I think they're all just kind of inflated a little bit. Ron Rivera is a good story. I'm just not big on the Redskins. I think they're an 8-8 potential wild card team.
I think
I don't know. I don't really have a good reason either. I'm not big on them.
That's all right.
Cowboy wave. I think the Cowboys are going to be the powerhouse of that division. I think the Eagles are horrible. The Giants are going to be horrible. So they're going to get easy wins against those teams and beat them up to where Terry could have big explosive games. I mean, the dude's a burner. He could easily, have a 150-yard receiving game on 6 catches and just go absolutely nuts. I don't know. I think there's a lot of mouths to feed in that Washington offense. Like I said, too, with Logan Thomas and the running back getting a lot of catches. Those are just my thoughts.
Terry had 4 touchdowns last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was like 4, pretty low.
That's another big thing.
I see that going up. I see that being closer to 8, maybe touching 10 with Fitzpatrick. And even the division, I know the Cowboys are over there. I see the Washington fighting for that division. And like you said, a wild card team, but I could see them winning 9 games and surprising people because what is it? The Giants and who's the other one? Eagles.
Yeah, they're bad.
So, I think they could win that division. And to do that, they're going to have to feed Terry, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think Antonio Gibson, like I said on Calvin Ridley, I think he could finish top 3 running back. I think that dude's that good. He kind of reminds me of like Matt Forte. He's a bigger dude, taller dude. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. Matt Forte, it wasn't that common really, and he came out and did it. Obviously you had people before him that
what a throwback. Matt Forte was a stud in PPR.
Oh,
he was the original Alvin Kamara. You know what I mean? Catching 60, 70 balls a year and the shitty, Jay Cutler Bears offense. Forte was, I know you're a Cutler fan.
I would always stack Cutler, Brandon Marshall, and Matt Forte. Just stack them all.
Yeah, Forte was dope. He was good. He was real good. So that's first 4. So let's just to recap real quick. You have Najee at 1, Calvin at 2, and then you went Allen Robinson at 3, and then 4 you had my pick at Scary Terry. Next on the board is yourself, Bongo. You are keeping Saquon Barkley and Miles Sanders. Who do you think? You might not give up all your secrets, just which we understand. But if somebody was on your board, who are you thinking?
I'm not in this spot. I'm not really worried about anyone taking it. Seems pretty chalk, honestly. Me at 5, I'm going Patrick Mahomes.
Yep, best player on the board at that point.
At that point, I had him. My undefeated season. I have the first pick in the second round. I have another second rounder. Wide receivers stack. Just try to get the best of the best. My running backs, obviously, I think the upside is pretty massive, but I think the floor is, pretty injured. And then, Miles Sanders, he's not the healthiest either, but he's also dropping balls. I think he's a very pure runner, and I think that'll show out. but it is a little scary. So
yeah,
the safe pick.
For sure. No, I like that pick. He's the best on the board at that point. Pat's guaranteed 20 points a week, in my opinion. Easy 20. Sure. He's guaranteed top 5 at least. That's his floor. He's going to put up the numbers. If he's healthy throughout the season, he's going to do it. So, yeah, I can't argue with that at all.
Yeah.
You like that, Eggs?
Yeah, I like Pat at 5, especially because it's my pick.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're right. 20 points a week. It's consistent. And yeah, I think you take the best player available there. I like that.
Now, in theory, looking back, would you give up Zeke for Pat?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh hell no.
Because it's the 4th pick. Okay, you would have cut Lamar, I guess. So yeah, no, I guess not. And I guess that wouldn't work out.
It wouldn't have played in my plans.
Yeah, that wouldn't have worked out right. Pat at 5 though. I like that. Moving on to Bill, Team Wild Bill. He's got 3 total picks in the first round. I traded with him. He got Derrick Henry, and then he also has DK Metcalf, which he traded for this offseason. Who do you think he's going with the first of his 3 picks there?
Bill's team's going to be scary if this mock plays out.
It's going to be real good.
It's going to be real scary. So at 6, I have Wild Bill taking Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Pairing up with DK Metcalf. That's solid. You have Derrick Henry. I mean, you can argue if you want the best running back, or as far as, I guess it's an argument in fantasy. Real life may not even be an argument.
2K Henry.
Yeah, for sure. But Keenan Allen, DK Metcalf, Derrick Henry, that's a solid start. And then he has the next pick as well.
On Keenan, I feel like every year Keenan is slept on. What is it? Is his 10th year now, maybe? 8th to 10th? Something like that?
30.
Yeah. So, and, he had those first 4 years of just like injury after injury after injury. But he's literally played 16 games the past 4 years, and people still look at him as an injury-plagued player. And I think he's a stud every year. He's going to fight for top 10. Justin Herbert, another year him.
Yeah.
I think Keenan's a good pick, definitely to pair with DK. 1-2 punch. You can't get much better than that for sure.
I'm pretty sure last year he actually fell to the 2nd round. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he fell back to the 2nd.
I think you're right.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty wild.
Definitely slept on. So yeah, next pick is Bill, who we traded originally was Langer. So he actually has another 1st round pick. So we'll get to him anyway. But go ahead with Bill's 2nd pick here, right in a row.
Yeah, with the 7th pick, I have him taking Adam Thielen. So getting that first flex spot, DK, Adam Thielen. And then Keenan Allen. I think that's all pretty safe. I mean, if you think about Keenan Allen and Adam Thielen, that's pretty darn safe. And then you add Metcalf, who, he could probably have some bad weeks, but some just dominant weeks, and I think it just balances it out. He still only has that one running back, but like I said, he's one of the best. So I think he's sitting pretty right now.
To have Adam Thielen, your first flex spot, you're sitting pretty. Yeah. You're sitting real pretty right there. I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot. Next we have Grimmer. So he traded up for the first pick. So looking at, going off of your mock, again, his keepers are Travis Kelce, CeeDee Lamb, and then Najee Harris is his first running back. Who do you have him taking with the 2nd pick?
So I have Grimmer taking Kyler Murray.
Ooh, another QB.
I have him going quarterback. I wasn't sure where to go with him on this, but I had some insider information on other drafts that he had, and saw some of his picks, and it seemed right. It seemed fitting. So yeah,
I like it. He's got to be 1st round QB this year. 2nd off the board, it just makes sense. What do you think about Kyler, X?
Yeah, that's, I guess with the players that are left there, you're taking guys that can put up big amount of points any given week. Kyler's one of those dudes, going to do it with his legs. I maybe take Josh Allen over Kyler there, but I think I like Kyler. I mean, you can't argue with it. The dude's going to put up points. So
that's what I was going to ask. Who is going to be that number 2 QB off the board? I think Pat is kind of consensus, but Josh Allen had an amazing year. He finished as the number 1 fantasy QB. So it's like, who's going to be that second guy off the board in the QB slot? So it's interesting that you went Kyler, but I think it's his legs, if anything.
I think it just depends on the person. I just see Grimmer taking Kyler over Josh Allen. I see maybe like Jet taking Josh Allen over Kyler. It kind of depends where they fall, and that's where it fell for Grimmer. I think it's not a bad idea to take a quarterback there at 8 and go from there.
Yep. No, I like it.
He probably has a few second rounders too, does he? Do you know?
You talking about who?
Grimmer.
Oh, second rounders. He has, I see 1. He has 1 total. And so no, he doesn't have any. He traded it with Holden. So he doesn't even have a second. So it's actually pretty smart to lock up his, QB right there for sure.
God, he's going to suck again though.
He's going to have a big year from CD. People forget that Amari Cooper's still there. He could lead the team in targets, honestly, if he's healthy. So CD really has to pay off for him. All right, so just do a quick recap. Najee, Calvin Ridley, Alvin Robinson at 3, Terry McLaurin at 4, 5 we have Pat Mahomes. 6 we have, who was Bill's first pick? Was it Thielen?
Keenan Allen and then Thielen.
Keenan and then Thielen. Okay, and then Grimmer for your next pick was Kyler Murray. So right now we're at pick 9 of the first round of the Bang Bus Fantasy Football League. Who do you have? Fill me holes. Picking his keepers, by the way. He traded for George Kittle, and then he also traded for James Robinson. Those are his 2 keepers coming back in the league. He is an expansion team, so those are his 2. Who do you have him at 9?
So I think obviously more than likely we'll be looking at receiver or maybe even best available. But I have him going Mike Evans at 9. I think he's finished the year, top every single year. He will have some bad weeks, but last year he had 1 week, it was 2 receptions, 2 touchdowns, and I think only 2 targets, but he put up the points. And I think he's a safe pick, even though he will have some of those, it's just expected. And that's kind of with a lot of guys though too.
Even the crazy stat of every year he's played, he's had 1,000 yards. I don't know if it's like 7 or 8 years that he's been in the league now. Man, it's crazy to think that he played with Johnny Manziel. How long ago that was at Texas A&M.
I know, right?
And but to have 1,000 yards every year is really incredible. It's really hard to do, and to be that consistent, stay healthy, still put up those numbers is pretty crazy.
It's hard to judge those Tampa Bay receivers. They're all very good. But even another offseason, like a real offseason with Tom Brady, it's just like who's going to be that connection? Because last year they didn't have that. They just went straight into it, and they all did really well. At the end of the year, Antonio Brown turned it on, but I think Mike Evans, like there's definitely a connection there, and I think a red zone connection. Obviously, he's massive.
So if you a little side bet here, if 1 through 3. Target wise, I guess Mike Evans would be first in your mind. Who do you think between Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown? How do you think they finished?
Oh, and targets?
Targets, points, however you want to look at it, but just as fantasy receivers, I guess.
I think Mike Evans will have the least amount of targets. He'll have the most touchdowns.
Yeah.
God, it's so tough. I want to like Antonio Brown so much.
I know.
I just think
it's the name.
It is, but like he didn't lose it.
No.
Like he just didn't lose it. And then he didn't play for however many games, but comes back and is like still really good. It's just like this guy's still got it. He's only a few years removed from like back to back like top 2 finishes. It's just like the guy is insane, but I think Godwin could be that too if he stays healthy.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't really know. I think fantasy points, I think Mike Evans probably still finishes with the most. Yeah, and then I guess I'll go Godwin. I just can't. I can't
You couldn't make a
know?
decision.
I can't.
It's hard
do it.
because everybody knows the love that Tom has for Antonio Brown, and being his first year in the system. I mean, Tom's first year and Antonio Brown's, like, it just wasn't ever really there until the second half of the season, in my opinion. And the thing that I get hooked up on is Chris Godwin's contract year. And so they haven't gave him a deal yet. You know what I mean? But that also makes a player play better, play through the injuries. Yeah. You know what I mean? To get that big contract the next year. So it's like, are they willing to feed him those targets, even though, you know, Antonio Brown's there on is number 3. They have such a deep wide receiver core, but
yeah, Tom doesn't have to eye that number 1 receiver, you know, nope. in certain points in the game, depending on the game, you know, like, hey, I got to hit, you know, DeAndre Hopkins. Like, he doesn't have that. He has like 3 wide receiver ones. Like, he just makes his read and rolls, you know, like that's all he does.
Yeah.
That's all he has to do.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a guessing game with them, but I would own all 3, you know, like
for sure
on the same team. Well, maybe I would even do that. But like, seriously, I would not be against, you know, having any of them.
I think any of them have a floor of a wide receiver 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
Could potentially at the end of the year to be able to put those up type of numbers in a Bruce Arians offense who's going to be throwing the ball. Tom Brady threw for 40 touchdowns last year. He's 42. You know, he almost threw as many touchdowns as old as he is, and so it's like it's pretty wild.
Yeah,
I do think that's interesting though to see how the Bucs wide receiver play, how it all shakes out for sure. Next, so that was pick 9. That was Fill Me Holes. Next, we have the second expansion team, the Fudge Packers. His keepers here are he traded for DeAndre Swift, and then he also traded for Darren Waller, who finished as tight end 2 last year, had a stud year, kind of a breakout year for him, who I think is really good and solid. But you not big on Darren Waller?
Are those the 2 worst keepers in the league?
2 worst?
Yeah.
Like as a
CeeDee Lamb isn't a great keeper. Montgomery's not a great keeper.
I think Swift might be the lowest. Like,
I think you're right. Yeah, on that. I like Darren Waller, and especially if he's going to put up 300 points, I like him even more. He's kind of Derek Carr's like security blanket.
I actually had Brett's keepers as the worst, Kittle and James Robinson.
Yeah, just because Kittle's coming off injury and James Robinson was kind of a 1-year wonder in the Jaguars offense. So I you could definitely argue that for sure, you know. But I think even given the fact that they're expansion teams is what they were willing to do and get those type of guys and get who they want at the end of the day, I think that's pretty cool. So but like I said, DeAndre Swift, Darren Waller. Who do you have pick number 10 for Fudge Back?
Yeah, so this is where the running backs are going to start going, which is kind of crazy that they haven't. I put Chris Carson to Big Fudge. I just think he's a workhorse. I mean, it's kind of a toss-up in my opinion on him and Josh Jacobs. I like them both. I still think Josh Jacobs is a stud, but like, I mean, there's a lot of questions there. Kenyon Drake will have a role. It seems like the Raiders are always trying to like put in waivers for these running backs too. I'm not really sure what they're doing.
Yeah. Royce Freeman, right? Is who they just put one in for?
It's really odd. But Chris Carson, he's safe. And I mean, till he gets hurt.
Or fumbles.
Yeah, that's true.
He had 5 fumbles last year. That's the only thing that worries me with Chris.
But he is a monster.
Yeah.
I love watching him play. He's awesome.
He's kind of like Marshawn Lynch in that way, you know, almost like a bulldozer. So you think Chris Carson inches out Josh Jacobs at the end of the day when it comes to being on your big board?
No, the mock draft.
Okay.
My rankings, I would have Josh Jacobs.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close.
I think it's close.
Mainly because of injuries. Just try to keep your guy on the field type thing. You know, it's like that's what scares me. He's an awesome running back, but he's just, I mean,
yeah,
he's risky.
For sure. Do you like Chris Carson, Eggs?
Yeah, kind of just what you just alluded to. He's a downfield runner. He's going to get the touches in that offense. But those guys, kind of like Chubb, they run the ball downfield. They're just trying to run you over. They're not trying to make you miss. They're embracing the contact. You roll an ankle, pull a hammy, do something like that. You miss time. The fumbles with Chris Carson is a concern. I don't think there's any other running backs in that offense that can compete with him from a talent perspective.
No.
So I think Russ plays better when he has a consistent running back, which is kind of scary to think about, how good he is. But with the new offense there, they're going to pass the ball more. I don't know. It's interesting to see. I think Chris Carson is a workhorse, and if he stays healthy, he's a good pick.
I think you're right, though. I don't think there's anybody really fighting for those touches. Last year it was Rashad Penny, which I believe he's still on the roster, right? Or did he go some? Okay,
he was hurt majority of last year. Still, I'm pretty sure. Towards the end, he was starting to get some time, but it was pretty limited. And I mean, they're saying he looks good. He looks the part. I guess he shed some weight and whatnot, but I don't know. It's easy to give up on Rashad Penny, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I don't feel like Chris Carson gets talked about enough as much.
No, yeah. So not at all. He's like, who were we talking about earlier that's super underrated?
Gabriel Davis, that was a sleeper pick. Keenan Allen.
Yeah, just always falls in drafts type thing. I think Chris Carson's that guy too. No one really just goes up for him,
I would be a little nervous though if I was Fudge Packers going into the year with Chris Carson and DeAndre Swift as my 1 and 2 RBs. Just to be honest, if that was me, but
no, I feel that I do like DeAndre Swift. I know he's has some sort of injury right now, which is kind of scary, but I think it's a improved offensive line. I think it's a good offensive line, and I think they'll be behind in games and he'll catch the ball out of the backfield. I think him and Jamal Williams will split a lot of time. But I think that also is a good committee that can be fantasy relevant. I don't know if that's what you want in your number one keeper or not.
Right.
But I think being behind in games, Goff's pretty known to dump the ball off, and that offensive line's good. So I think they'll both be good picks, honestly. I mean, Swift's obviously a keeper, but Jamal Williams even will be a good pick in the draft, I think.
I agree. I think he's going to be a good mid-round guy. Like you said, the Lions are a toss-up this year. New QB, new head coach. They added Jamal Williams. They got rid of Kenny and Marvin Jones, and they picked up Tyrell Williams.
I just don't know if they'll win a single game.
They're going to be pretty bad. I
mean, their defense is bad.
Yeah.
The whole line's literally, that's what they're building around.
Yeah. Inside out. Inside out. But, that's an interesting pick. Chris Carson there at 9. Or Tim at 10. So next we have the third pick of the draft here. It is Team Wild Bill. So just to recap, he's keeping DK and Derrick Henry. And then you have him taking Keenan Allen, Adam Thielen, and then this is his third pick of the first round. Who do you have?
And I have him taking Josh Jacobs.
There you go.
Yeah, and this is a monster squad already.
Yep, already.
Not one I really want to play, but like I said in the beginning, he's my rival. I mean, he's going to get it. So
Josh Jacobs finished top 10 last year. You know what I mean?
And he's getting just pushed down the rankings. It's crazy.
John Gruden's the old school dude that if they're on the goal line, they're going to try to run it. He got 12 touchdowns rushing. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't be surprised if he hit double digits again, touch 10, just because they love to give him the ball and he loves to establish the run. So
he's a good goal line back.
He is.
And people are saying that about Kenyon Drake too, but it's
I ain't worried about it.
Equally as good. They're equally as good. They're equally as good pass catchers. I mean, Josh Jacobs probably better all around, but
he caught more passes than Kenyon Drake did last year. You know what I mean? I know Kenyon Drake split carries with Chase Edmonds in Arizona, but I think people are underselling Josh Jacobs' receiving ability, and he's still going to catch 25 balls this year, but nothing crazy, but enough.
He was getting compared to Alvin Kamara coming out of the draft. It's that's the ability that people saw in him. I mean, we've seen it. He is good. He's not that good, but he's pretty damn good.
He's good, and they want to use him, and then that's what volume is king in fantasy football. So It's interesting.
That's a guy that I liked all the way up at 5.
Exactly. So, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that 10 was the first running back taken. You know what I mean? Especially as many that were kept. So we'll see how it plays out for sure. This is Big Red Machine, which is an awful name. Sorry, Lang, but it is so bad. You have to come up with something better. This is his first pick of the draft. His keepers. So he had Hopkins. He traded with Jeffco Cookers. He got Chubb, and then he drafted Jonathan Taylor last year. I remember he was big on him going into last year. I believe he drafted him, right? He didn't trade anybody.
No, yeah.
I believe he drafted him.
No,
mid. In the mid draft, he took him, I believe, and he's going in and now keeping him.
So he ended up. It was a mix-and trade with Nick that he got.
Okay.
But I don't really remember. I still almost want to say Lane drafted him.
I know. I think he was. I think he was hyping him up a lot, even because he had like back end first last year, and I remember him talking about him a lot. But I think he got his guy anyway. So here, what pick is he here? 12. Pick 12 here. And who do you have him taking?
I have him taking Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, another kind of insider information on other drafts. He's eyeing them, just so you know. I think he's going to be awesome. I think the Rams offense might be scary good. I think it might be like, almost want to say Chiefs good. I mean, we're going to see some crazy stuff, I think. Matthew Stafford's a really good quarterback.
Yeah.
And I mean, Robert Woods about as safe as you can get. Cooper Kupp's massive. I think Higbee is good. I think Everett's out of there, and I think he'll see a lot of targets too. I think they have a good team, and I still think Sean McVay's a good coach. I think some people started to doubt that, but I think that offense is going to be very fantasy friendly. So
2019, he had 118 targets, caught 86 balls, over 1,000 yards and 10 tutties. You know what I mean? And then he kind of had I don't even know if it was a down year. He still caught 86 for 1,041 and 8 touchdowns. So a couple less touchdowns than last year, but he was in my top 10 rankings. I put him in there for a receiver. I agree with you. I think Matt Stafford's, him and Sean McVay, they're going to come out there. They're going to want to sling the ball.
Yeah.
What do you think about Cooper Kupp, Eggs?
I think a lot of people see Cooper Kupp like kind of overtaking Robert Woods as that number one role in that offense. I think with Cooper's injuries, Robert has still really been the number one guy there, kind of like a sleeper number one. It's been kind of interesting. But Cooper Kupp, he's projected 93 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 7.5 touchdowns. The dude's going to ball. I think if he can emerge as the number one guy in that offense, like you said, the Rams are going to be scary good. I think people underestimate how good Stafford is. Him in a year with Sean McVay as a coach in that scheme, it's going to be scary with all the weapons that they have.
Yeah, so I mean,
if he's the number one, absolutely.
It's crazy because like you look at Marvin Jones Jr. and Kenny Golladay, like what they were able to do with Matthew Stafford. Well, I mean, Matthew Stafford's there, and with Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, who we've seen already, they've already been good with Jared Goff.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I mean, how is that not an upgrade, you know? So,
in Eggs, I just wanted to check the stats here because you were kind of saying he's a sleeper number one. He caught more balls than Cooper Kupp last year. I think Cooper got hurt for a game or two.
Yeah.
But he caught 93 balls last year, had 137 targets and 1,100 yards. He just had 3 fewer touchdowns. You know, but in 2019, he was a little under Cooper Kupp, caught like 12 less, I think, if I'm doing the math right. But I think you're right. I think Cooper Kupp going into his third year here, he's going to be a fourth or fifth year, whatever it is. I think he's going to take another step forward. Him and Matt Stafford. I don't know why, but I feel like they're just going to come out and hit the ground running. I feel like they're gonna be on top of it, and Sean McVay's going to have them where they want them. And the only thing that I see holding them back is that they don't have a number one RB. They really wanted Cam Akers to be healthy this year and be good. And now that they're trading for Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson, everybody's like, I don't know about him. That's the only question mark that I really have. But I think they like Tyler Higbee a lot. Cooper Kupp, in my mind, is going to be the number one this year, but Robert Woods is top 20. And then, Matt Stafford, I think they can get after it.
Is good. Like, it's a good team.
No,
it's
yeah,
a good
top 5 defense, easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thankfully, it's a good division, though, because I do not want to see them win. So
Right. Who do you think's going to win that division? Just off the top of your head, who do you see winning that?
I think the Niners.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You think Jimmy starts all year, or Trey gets in there?
Trey gets in there.
With the rookie, they win the division. Okay. That's a bold prediction right there.
Their strength of schedule is like pretty easy, actually. Like, I mean, outside of division and stuff.
Right.
I think Trey Lance is the real deal. I think we'll be talking about him like we do Pat Mahomes right now.
I like Trey Lance. I'm all aboard the Trey Lance train, but that's a bold prediction right there. But
and what's even better, he's more Lamar Jackson style too, so he can actually run.
Right.
People think Pat can run, and yeah, he's very good getting out of the pocket and throwing unbalanced, doing that sort of thing. But I mean, he's going to add rushing, which could hurt him, like legitimately hurt him. But I think the sky's the limit for that guy.
And I think what we haven't talked about yet, Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, right.
One of the best head coaches in the league. He's going to draw up. If Trey Lance is the starter, he's going to get him into the ability to make plays in those perfect spots to make.
Do you remember what he did with RG3?
In Washington?
He rushed for like 1,400 yards or something insane. I mean, he's just gonna let loose, and the dude's got a cannon.
Yeah,
like a Josh Allen type cannon. I mean, maybe that's a little much, but I don't know.
He can chuck it. He can throw it.
I think he's gonna be that good. And I mean, Pat Mahomes, if he would have went somewhere else outside of KC, I don't know if we're talking about him like it's all about finding the right fit.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
And I think Trey Lance found the right fit. So
yep, I totally agree with that. A lot of this is going into the organization that fits what. Yeah, I mean, fucking Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes are peanut butter and jelly. You know what I mean? Like they don't go together any better than they do right now. And I agree. I think Trey Lance, Kyle Shanahan handpicked him at pick 11 or 12 or whatever it was early in the first. Was it 3 overall? Eggs, was it 3 overall?
Yeah.
Oh shit, it was that early? Yeah. So I mean, he handpicked him. I think you're right. I think for the next 5-10 years, he's going to be their guy if they can stick together. So I really like that pick. Wait, who did you just have Link taken there? I can't even remember now.
Cooper
Kupp, that's what it was. I was like, how did we even get onto Trey Lance? That's funny. Just to touch on Terry Flavor, because he doesn't have a first-round pick. That would have been his pick there right at 12. He has Alvin Kamara, Devontae Adams, and then he comes back in the third pick of the second round. So that'll be his first pick, just so that's out there. We got to talk about Terry Flavor.
When's Egg's first pick?
What?
Non-existent.
It's in the set. It is. Let me do the math here. Ninth in the second.
Lamar will still be there.
I love it. Okay, we have another double. So Jeffco Cookers, you had them taken. He's keeping Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Hopkins, and you had him taking Allen Robinson over there at pick 3. Who do you have him taken here at pick 13?
I think he has to go running back here, and I have him going Myles Gaskin.
Okay.
This seems early, but I've seen kind of Myles Gaskin all over the place. I've seen people saying he's going to be like top 5. I've seen people say he's, just going to share some time, whatever. But I mean, there's no denying he played really well last year. And I think personally he's a safe pick. I think he's a good running back, great RB2. I think you're just fine with him as your RB2. So, and then he has Dalvin Cook, so it's like you may as well go safe. I don't see anyone like really taking his job away, to be honest, in that backfield. So, I mean, I think with Tua, that offense should be decent. and I think he'll get a lot of touches and reception. He's a good passing down back. So
yeah. Before you got on, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins they're weird. I think they're better than people give them credit for. I could definitely see them sneaking into that last wild card spot in the AFC. I think with Tua and that offense, they got some good young weapons. I kind of trashed them last week, but I did a little more research on them, and they're Gesicki, I think, is going to have a good year. Devontae Parker, if he could stay healthy, he's always rated high. Yeah. Jalen Waddle, I like Gaskin. I think they're going to be ahead. I think their defense is good. And he's going to get a lot of catches and touches, and I like that. I like Myles Gaskin.
We were even talking about him, Eggs, before Bongo got on here, talking about Myles Gaskin, kind of where we thought he would go in the draft. And it's interesting because I have no idea. It's interesting you put him in the first because I didn't know if he'd go in the third, the first, where people put him. But really looking at the team and the touches, I think his floor is really RB2, and his upside could be top 5 if they really want to feed him. But my only question mark is the O-line. I think their O-line's pretty bad, probably back half of top 15, back half 15 in the league. But, if they're going to give him touches and they're going to feed him the ball, he can catch out of the backfield. Another year of Tua, they do have some weapons there. They like Gesicki a lot there at tight end too. Who knows? I think he's a good upside pick.
Yeah.
Especially being RB2. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a great compliment to Dalvin Cook and whoever I had as receivers, D-Hop and Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
You're building a balanced but dominant team kind of, with those picks. I think in 14-team league, like those running backs will be gone.
Yeah.
When they start to go, they're going to be gone. And then people are going to be settling for Trey Sermon, who's awesome, but one, it's the Niners backfield, and two, it's just like that's not what you want to go into with your RB2
for sure. So Gaskins could be a league winner. You know what I mean? If he really gets fed, and people are underselling the Dolphins just in general, in that division. But if he can finish top 10, and especially I'm saying that with knowing that Jet also has Dalvin Cook, you know what I mean? If they can be that type of 1-2 tandem in the first round, or top 10, you know what I mean, in running backs, they could, he could go deep. Sure. I like that pick a lot. That was surprising. I wouldn't have put him in the first round, but I like that you did that. Cool.
They're getting slim there.
It's getting real tight. And that's only the third one off the board this round. Yeah. And it's already real tight. So last pick, we appreciate you having you on, Bongo. This was fun. Like I said, you do this every year, and we always enjoy it. We will end it here with your, I guess, a rival. You did call him out earlier in the draft. This is Rich, former champion of the Portnoy Pounders. He is keeping Stephon Diggs and David Montgomery. Who do you have him taking in the last pick?
I'm taking Kareem Hunt. I think he has to. I don't know when his next pick is. I might have it. I don't even know.
Fifth pick of the third.
Yeah. He doesn't even have a second rounder. He has to go running back. I think it's between Chase Edmonds, depending how much you like him. I like him. Or Kareem Hunt, who's guaranteed safe.
Yep.
So that's who I have him taking there, and to round up the first round.
I like it a lot. We talked about we touched on Kareem already. Between him and Chubb, I think if Chubb goes down, Kareem's top 10. That's the best handcuff in the league, in my opinion, to have. Is Kareem Hunt, and I don't even know if you can consider him a handcuff just because he's going to get his catches. So
he might finish. If Chubb happened to get hurt, he's the number one running back.
Yeah, no, he is.
I truly believe that. He's that good. He would get that passing down work and everything. So.
Yep. No, I like it. I like it a lot. Again, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. We'll get it out here before the draft happens, so everybody can take notes and see where you put them. Any last words, Eggs, for Bongo?
No last words for Bongo. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate having you. Your keepers fucking suck. That's all I got.
Oh God.
We'll see. Your picks suck.
You can't even argue with that. You really can't.
Horrible.
You really can't.
Horrible picks.
All right. To end it out here, as you know, as always, this is the Bang Bus Football Podcast, where every inch matters. Thanks, Bongo. All right. Well, we appreciate Bongo coming on here. That was one of our I think that was one of our better guests, just talking fantasy football, getting deep into what we're thinking and, who we're looking for, who we got our eyes on, where people are going in the draft. I thought it was a lot of fun. What do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We definitely have that fantasy football rapport with Bubba Bongo, former member of the Big Three. We that's what we did all our college days, for the past creation of the league. We talk fantasy football, so it's easy to get him on here and bullshit with him. There's a lot of good content from him too. He knows his stuff, and his mock drafts are usually pretty spot on. So if some of that stuff pans out the way it does, then I could definitely see guys drafting the way they do. It'd be interesting to see how the first round plays out for sure. Definitely.
Were there any guys that you were surprised that he left off of the first round?
Just a couple guys that we talked about a little bit earlier. Damian Harris, big question mark there in New England. And I think Gus Edwards, Gus Edwards would be, where's his ceiling now all of a sudden with JK going down and the Ravens are going to run the piss out of the ball, man. I think he might slide into the first round in our league. So it'd be interesting to see how all that plays out. Definitely.
I was big on Dobbins coming into the year, him going down with ACL and MCL, whatever. He blew up his fucking knee. I don't know what all happened to it, but fun fact, Gus Edwards had 800 yards rushing for the past 3 years. Every year's been in the league. So they see something in him, and I think if they're willing to feed him number one rushing attack offense wise, and they're willing to give him 15, 20 touches, I think the sky's the limit for a guy like him. And people might be overlooking him a little bit. I think him and Myles Gaskin can really be on the same level when it comes to ADP. And then Damien Harris, people. Personally, I tend to stick away from Patriots players, but people have been talking up Damian Harris and his ability. His pass catching is one thing that I'm not so sure about, but his rushing ability is definitely there. I mean, and with Mac Jones, we had kind of mentioned him. You had mentioned him earlier with the kind of rapport that they'd have. Rookie quarterbacks tend to lean on the running backs. So, yeah, he could definitely have a great year.
Well, they play together in college, so they have that going together. Right. They know each other. They're familiar with each other.
That's right.
They're with the rookie quarterback in a Bill Belichick system. They're gonna play action, 2 tight end sets. He's gonna get his touches. I think with them getting rid of Sony Michel, it shows just how confident they are in him. I think it'll be interesting to see. I think he'll catch more balls than people give him credit for. I think he's a little better, more all around back than that. I think his role is really going to expand in the Patriots offense this year. I'd be curious to see just what they do with him.
Definitely. I like it. Yeah, those are definitely 2 guys I think we should keep an eye on the first. Even though Bongo didn't have him mocked there, I think they could definitely go if somebody's high on him. So, yeah, that was good. Like I said, thanks for Bongo for coming on. Eggs, as always, it's always been fun. We will be back next week. We will have our full teams. Who knows what we'll do? We've got a few surprises ahead. It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll get the keg flowing, get everything rolling on Sunday, and it's Labor Day weekend, all that good stuff. But thank you guys again. Please like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. This has been the Bang Bus Football Podcast, where every inch matters. There it is. That's all right.